What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for Your Overwatch. Finally, some Overwatch 2 news. Today, we're going to be breaking down the Bastion and Sombra Overwatch 2 reworks that were just revealed today on the Grand Finals broadcast. Sombra is no longer about crowd control, but instead amplifies damage. Big time. And Bastion can move and shoot. His weapon is like a pseudo-sniper and has a brand new ult. We'll break it all down right after the break. Today's video sponsor is the Ridge wallet, which look better, are more durable, and more usable than that dusty old boomer wallet you're probably still rocking. I went for a simple, sleek, jet black titanium that I really like. Ridge offer a lifetime guarantee on their products because they're built to last, and if you don't love it, you can send it right back. How are you gonna get a fairer deal than that? But I doubt you would want to because there's 30 designs to choose from, meaning that there's going to be a style that fits you the best. Pick yourself up a Ridge wallet by checking out our link in the description to head over to ridge.com/YourOverwatch and use code YourOverwatch at checkout to get 10% off your entire order and free shipping. Jeff Goodman went to explain that the Sombra rework is in line with how the entire game of Overwatch 2 is getting redesigned. So a new rule, or pseudo-rule they have, is that tanks will be the characters that get to have the CC. Look at me, I'm the captain now! Although some characters like Ana will retain their sleep dart, for the most part, characters that have CC from Overwatch 1 are gonna have it dramatically reduced. And if it's anything like Sombra, we can expect that power to get moved into defining their role more, where, in Sombra's case, more damage. So here's the changes. Hack has a lower cooldown, which allows you to do it more often. Hack will last 8 seconds, which is long, but the hack that you're used to only lasts the first second of that duration. So you lose all your abilities for 1 second, which is a really smart change from the developers because it allows Sombra to still have her trickster playstyle and rewards good timing for you to disable a Reinhardt pin or a Pharah barrage. Those abilities that are channeling in nature, it still gives you like a mini stun or an interrupt style play to make, while not leaving the target that gets hacked to feel helpless in terms of their abilities or opportunities to react at all. However, the changes they put into hack are fairly devastating. Through the whole duration, you will be able to see the target through walls for the whole team. So it's like a wall hack effect on that target you hacked, which is helpful in a number of ways. Even when playing with randoms, I'd say that means everyone will be aware of the thing that just got hacked as it gets marked, which I think makes it easier to play around. But the kicker buff is that they're giving it 50% damage amplification, which I think sounds way too high at the moment. So that means hacked targets will get melted as if you were using a nano boost. So keep that in mind. Nano boost, 50% damage amp, a hacked target is just as vulnerable. This is all really interesting because if hack in Overwatch 1 kind of felt like a MOBA interaction ability to remove abilities, in Overwatch 2, it's amplifying those shooter dynamics, giving you a wall hack on the target and a huge damage amp, which at the moment I think sounds like way too much, but we're about balancing when it's out. An added kicker is that you can use the hack ability while in stealth and it only slightly reveals you. Jeff Goodman goes on to explain the trickery you can do in the enemy's backline, because normally if you hack a target, the cooldown is long enough that you know the enemy team is going to be committing onto that target, if there was teamwork on your team. But with the shorter cooldown and the fact that you don't get out of stealth while casting the hack, you actually can play mind games on the enemy and pseudo mark a target, make them peel back and respond with positioning, and then change to go hack someone else rather quickly. As unless the enemy reveals you, you might be able to sneak around quite a lot more in their backline. Remember, the game is losing a lot of that really easy Sombra marking spam damage. D.Va used to be able to spray continuously in a circle to try to spam down the common Sombra movement patterns in order to deal 1 damage to reveal her. Well, you only have 1 tank now, and the game has more cover in it based on the map design anyway, so this sounds really strong to me as is. Now on to the ultimate. Sombra's EMP now will apply the hack 2.0 as everything I just described, but on top of that, deal a whopping 40% of their current health. That's different than Sigma's ultimate, which does half of the total potential health point pool. New EMP zaps out 40% of their current health, which means it'll have a bigger impact at the start of the fight, like you're used to anyway. But between doing this big chunk of damage as well as having a damage amp effect afterward, I think the targets you hit with this are gonna pop like balloons right in front of you. However, they did say that it isn't as effective as before against Zarya and Zenyatta because it no longer removes all shields. It doesn't strip their shield health, but of course it's much stronger as a damage ability. And I think in terms of confirming kills, a 50% damage debuff for 8 seconds. I don't know, I feel like there's ways to survive not having your abilities in Overwatch. Think of how strong Orisa Supercharger is when it's set up uncontested right now. That's the kind of team-wide effect you might be able to put in with an EMP, though I will say, I think we're expecting that team fights won't be as clumped up as we're used to from Overwatch 1. Either way, from where I'm sitting, this looks like just straight fire buffs. I did notice that the EMP did take down the Winston barrier though, so I think that means it'll still burn shields, just not shield health, which is always a confusing distinction. But as Jeff Goodman did say, they are doing lots of play tests, changing lots of things, and when the game comes out, I expect lots of feedback to be coming in, and for all we know, a lot of these numbers are different. So I wouldn't look too closely at that, but instead the philosophy of what they're trying to do with the game. That I expect to remain consistent. Next up, the Bastion rework. The big new addition for this character is that they added a hat. Yes, that's right, 4 years to develop new content for Overwatch, and we've got hats on our guys now. Bastion's new ability to keep the sun out of his eyes. Okay, I'm just kidding. They did say the hat though, which I can't wait to see the memes that come from them emphasizing a hat on the character, but it does look spiffy after all. New abilities for Bastion now is he loses his self-repair. Very important. No more self-heal, but instead they replaced it with an alternate fire, which looks like a grenade launcher that shoots like a timed mine almost. Just like a glorified version of Junkrat. You all like Junkrat spam, don't you? As a Junkrat player myself, I saw this and screamed. I think this ability is going to be really important as you start to understand what they're doing with the rest of his kit. In those moments that you have downtime between doing your other abilities, being able to pressure around corners or to have some usefulness when you're between your power positions is quite a strong change. Next up, they reworked his primary fire in recon mode, where now it's long range, no longer has a spread, but has a significantly reduced fire rate. From the footage, it looks really slow. The devs said this makes him play like a pseudo sniper when he's in this mode. And based on my vague perception of the time to kill from how they showed it so far, I think you'll need both the alternate fire and primary fire to have any burst opportunity in the neutral. Like maybe you weaken them with one of those abilities and finish them with the other. But if only one can hit, it looks like it will be pretty difficult to easily secure a kill. You're not looking at Soldier 76's rifle that just mows things down in front of him. Well, until you get to the turret form, of course. They reworked this so it can maintain its power in a way, but not feel completely useless in a game that only has one tank to protect you. His turret form now has a cooldown, which means you can't spam the transformation like you used to in Overwatch 1 quickly and easily. There will be a delay between uses, but when you do use it, you can move while shooting at a 50% movement reduction. So you are slower, but barreling down Main Street with a minigun, well, now this is a weapon that you better move out of the way from. Jeff said that at the moment, although it has a cooldown, you will have a really high uptime on using it, but I really like this change because it means he's less of an all or nothing type strategy. If you struggled against the Bastion, he's set up and it felt like there was never a window for you to really get in position unless everyone on your team did the right thing. In this form, at least, you know he has like a transformation cooldown that when up, he'll rip you a new one, but at least there's periods of downtime where he's not in that super aggressive, powerful form. Last up is the change to his ultimate. No longer does he have tank configuration. Now he turns into a literal artillery and pulls up an overhead map indicator similar to Doomfist using Meteor Strike or realistically playing a Call of Duty game. You can land an airstrike in 3 distinct locations, and you can even add a little bit of delay to it, so perhaps your first 2 flushes out the enemy and you can put the third kind of offset where you anticipate the enemy to run to for cover. These shots are a projectile, so you can interact with them in all the ways you can with a projectile. Defense Matrix can eat it, a shield can block it, Genji can reflect it if you're really clever, but just like casting Junkrat's tire, you are vulnerable while setting up for the airstrike. I believe he said that each shell will do 200, so it's a total of 600 if it all hits you, which makes it a lot more effective at nuking down squishy characters than it does tanks. But realistically, I think it's the AoE of this ability and where exactly those damage fall off zones are that is going to make it devastating or not. It doesn't seem to have the effect of like a diva bomb that nukes an entire team, but due to how precise you can be with it, well, maybe that affords you some playmaking opportunity on the objective. Like maybe taking out a sniper nest is more valuable than having the shock and awe of like a diva ult. When discussing the Bastion rework, I'll paraphrase what Jeff Goodman says. He effectively said he was untunable in that form. Losing all ability to move is just such a big disadvantage. It's hard to make that power budget make sense, at least for different tiers of play. But at least if you can move somewhat while in sentry form, you can potentially get out of the way and around cover, which is just a massive thing in a shooter game, especially one like Overwatch 2, which clearly is trying to have more of a shooter identity. We're gonna have a lot more stuff to cover from the live stream. I'm gonna do a deeper analysis on the 5v5 Pro show match and any other bits that we find along the way that is interesting about Overwatch 2. So to stay tuned and make sure that you get notified when our next videos come live, click the bell icon and set up notifications directly to your cell phone. Don't miss out on our upcoming Overwatch 2 content. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit like. I'm gonna go back to watch the grand finals now. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.